Welcome back to the 52 Weeks to Wealth. My name is Walter Morello. We've been through this journey, intentionally doubling our income and doubling our net worth. Hands to the camera if that is the reason you're here. Doubling your income and doubling your net worth. Excellent. Now, the way we do it is through 52 wealth principles. And we are currently at wealth principle 40, which is create keystone habits. If this is the first time you've heard of the term keystone, then I got to go back to tell you a little bit of a story. But before I do that, we are on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. And the way we do that is through education, it's knowledge, it's also accountability, and it's through the network. Hence, if you recognize your network is your net worth. They're directly correlated. And in our recession-proof challenge, we talk about this all the time. People are like, it's all in who you know. That is not true. It's all in who knows you, because if they know you, they can cash flow you. But I know Elon Musk. I know who he is. I know of him. I know how to find him on Twitter, but that cat's never responded back to me. So it's not about who I know. It's about who knows me. Hands to cash. You recognize that to be true. Habits. Who here has habits? Anybody ever experience a habit happening? It's an interesting experience because they just sort of showed up one day, right? Like, it's not like we just decided our habits and we went through life and everything is intentional. Although some of us have made a lot of personal development. Who's done a lot of personal development, changed some habits, adjusted themselves over the years? Give yourselves a round of applause. That's progress, right? That's what all of this is about, is taking these principles and turning them into habits. And the reason we do it is because small habits over time produce large results. Who here is looking to do something very big in this world? Anybody doing some big things? Awesome. Excellent. I'm just checking to make sure we're in the right room. So a keystone is a piece of a building. So if you look at one of those arches, those big bridges or those archways where there's a bunch of stones and they curve up, who's seen those before? Churches have them. Out in like Italy, like everything is built with keystones and these big like stone bridges that are like monstrously tall, like unimaginably solid, strong, like holding a lot of weight. The reason they're able to do that is that final stone that goes into it has a little bit of an angle to it. All the stones are basically shaped like this with mortar around them, but then that final stone is called the keystone. And it's got this triangular shape to it, and that actually holds all the others in place. Now, prior to installing that stone, they have braces and everything. But the interesting thing is, as soon as you drop the keystone in, you can pull all the braces away and everything just falls right into shape. The keystone is that final piece. It's the clincher. It's what holds it all together. It's great to go and build up your walls and build up your foundations and build up something that's going to support a whole lot of weight and still allow you to pass through it. But if you don't install the keystone, as soon as you pull out all the structural wood and all those pieces that are holding it together, everything collapses. It's the keystone habits, the most important habits, that if you didn't have anything else structured, if you relied on the typical structures that everybody else puts in, but you had this one keystone, that one piece is what holds it all together. So it's changing those micro habits, those super important ones that have a massive impact across the rest of your life. Last week, we talked about the compound effect, right? Doing things that compound over time. That was Einstein, right? A physicist is talking about compound interest because we are in an economic world. Everybody has to do something with money. It's because we live in a world where you have to pay for your food with money. You have to pay for your rent with money. You pay for gas. You pay for Netflix. You pay for high fives with people that you want to go see at concerts, right? There's pictures, right? We saw each other at the summit. We had to pay to get there. We're paying flights, gas, hotels. It was an experience of a lifetime. Who here was at the summit? Hands care if you were at the 100 Millionaire Summit this year. Got to experience something powerful, impactful. We talked about some really serious habits, things that get you to become a millionaire. Millionaire status is kind of like that. In fact, we're judged in society often. I wear these shirts all the time. And if somebody asks me, what is it about? I get two options. One, sometimes somebody will say, oh, wow, cool. How do I learn more? But more often I'll hear, okay, and they walk away. No interest. Or, oh, I don't want to be a millionaire. I just want to be comfortable. Okay, you can have it. Keep your comfort, right? But I guarantee you, if you're a millionaire, you will be mighty comfortable. Hence, Karen, if you recognize money can buy comfort. It can't buy happiness, but it can certainly buy comfort. And if comfort makes you happy, then money in some cases can buy some happiness. It is negotiable. Have a conversation with yourself, figure it out. So we're going to go through 3 different steps in real estate. This is a very specific today, this talk. By the way, this works in business. It works in your relationships. It works in your health. It works everywhere. But today I'm going to talk about it in real estate because my guess is everybody in here wants to buy some real estate this year. Hence, Karen, if that's true, real estate investors. Real estate builds more millionaires than any other asset class. And since we are in a recession, currently in a recession, by the way, I say that because as real estate investors, we love seeing the red in the market, right? The opportunity means it was when everything's for sale. We don't quite see that yet. So if this is being recorded and you see this out in the future, maybe it's already here. But currently in 2022, towards the end of the year, we haven't quite seen the prices drop yet in real estate. 3 keystone habits I think every real estate investor has to have. And by think, I mean, I know if you do these 3 keystone habits consistently, you'll be an extremely successful real estate investor. And if you run out of money, make sure you're building relationships in your downtime. Make sure you're building relationships with high net worth individuals who are looking to put their money into deals. Hands to the camera if you know you got to raise some capital in this game, if you really want to scale up, if you want to take it to the next level, the next level, the next level, you got to get some partnerships, work with people who've got capital already. Otherwise, you stay as small as your creative financing will allow you. And I'm all about creative financing, but I know I missed a lot of deals because I wasn't able to just throw a partner into a deal. I wasn't emotionally able to do that. Hence, can't recognize it's a very emotional process. Being able to say yes to giving somebody else money, yes to taking in a partner, yes to sharing part of the deal. Who here's, heard the saying, I'd rather have 50% of a deal than 100% of nothing. Who's heard that before? And still doesn't do it. Anybody still not do it? It's like, I know I should partner, but even though we know it, like logically, we understand it, we still make the mistake of not opening ourselves up to that opportunity, to trusting another person with the ability to pay them and for you to get paid. So just something to think about. When I talk about capital raising, I want to be very clear. You must at all times be moral, ethical, and do this legally, and with always the respect for the other person's money. Treat it like your own unless you don't have a lot of money, in which case treat it like somebody else's. Unless you don't respect other people's money, then treat it like it's God's money. And if you don't respect God's money, man, you don't belong having money at all. You got to respect money. Awesome. We got to treat this stuff with respect. It's just like treat it like a relationship. And if you don't treat your relationships well, then money just will never be around you. Wealth principle 40 is your keystone habits, creating keystone habits. So we're going to dive into the 3 habits that are absolutely necessary for any real estate investor. You might want to take notes, but if you don't have notes, don't worry. I'll post this later. The first is know the values of the property. You must know the values of the property in your market. So a lot of times investors will be all over the place. Who here has at any point in your business had 2 markets? Anybody at any point said, I'm not sure, I'm kind of in this market, that market? So the first step we talk about is you've got to pick a market so that you can understand the values, right? And just looking online doesn't actually create understanding of values because you've never been through the property. You don't know the floor plan of the building. Who here knows that certain buildings have different values, even though they got the same square footage, same amount of bedrooms? You can understand how functional obsolescence can change the value of a property. Layouts can change the value of a property. If it's 2 floors versus 1 floor, can change the value of the property. If the square footage is in the basement instead of on the first level or the second level, that can change the value of the property. If a lot of the square footage is a stupid hallway in front of the door with stairs that you can't do anything with, who's seen those houses? You see like these big, like, what do you put in there? Like a flower? You put a pot in the hallway? What is this thing? Whereas some are super efficient. You open it, you walk in, and it's into a dining room or a living room. All that square footage is being used efficiently. Who's seen the difference between these houses? So square footage, that right there can be 100 to 300 square feet. That just, it's completely useless. It takes away value of the property. So you got to understand the values. Another factor to values is multifamily investors are the rents. Like what is happening in that market rent-wise? What are the average rents? The way we get this information can vary, but I prefer to get it from property managers. If you're investing out of state, if you're investing in a market you've never been in, or even if you're investing in your own market, you have to do the research of people who are boots on the ground in the market, and never trust a single property manager. Always verify with 2 or 3. Because just because one person, like I've worked with property managers who said the rent is going to be $800, and I've worked with other property managers who said the rent was going to be $1,200. Guess which property manager I went with? The one who knew how to get higher rents. This is the part where most people get stuck. A lot of people will start evaluating, and never taking action. Anybody get stuck in that loop of analysis paralysis, just evaluating deals, thinking you were busy doing something? It's just the first step. You must evaluate deals. You must understand the value of deals. So you got to do the research. But without the next steps, you're just next. We must find opportunities. Now, this is the second keystone habit, by the way. Keystone habit. This is fundamental. It is non-negotiable. There is no deal There is no closing. There's no assets owned without finding opportunities. Opportunities are different from properties. An opportunity is something worth investing in. A deal is something worth investing in. A property that somebody is looking to sell does not make it a deal or an opportunity, which is why we have to learn how to evaluate. So step one, evaluate. Step two, find opportunities. Find or create a buy box and then seek out properties that are like that. Who here is currently doing both of these steps? They know how to evaluate properties and they're seeking out opportunities. Excellent. Those who do not seek opportunities do not ever see opportunities. Who here has gone most of their life without buying real estate and only recently got into it and started buying real estate? Think about this. Your entire life, you have been missing opportunities. From the moment you were born, the second you were brought into this world, opportunities started passing by you. Right by you, every single day, every second, every millisecond. Millions and millions and millions of dollars have passed right by you and you never received them. It is not a rush, right? You've not been paying attention your entire freaking life. And people have been becoming millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires. There's nearly 800 billionaires in the United States. Most of them born in the last 50 to 80 years. I know Warren Buffett's 94, so he's like way out there in age. He brings up the variable. The difference is they sought out an opportunity and then stuck with it. They sought out opportunities earlier in the game. Nobody was a billionaire the day they decided to start a business. Many of these businesses took years and years and years. Tesla has been around for 20 years. Ask Cameron if you recognize it takes time. Compound interest, right? Keystone habits over time add up. There's a lot of keystone principles in life, but we're talking right now about real estate investors. Third, you must make deals happen. You must make deals happen. This means put the capital together. It means negotiate. It means close, commit, close, and manage the property. Making deals happen is kind of a big variable, isn't it? There's so many different ways to make a deal happen, but it's the decision to do it that makes it happen, right? The decision every day, because by the way, who here has been in a deal and 30 days into it, been like, I don't know if I want this anymore? Where my real estate investor's been in this for a while. You go through a deal and you're like, oh man, the pressure's building. Do I still want this? And it's like 2 weeks out before closing. If you've never done a deal in real estate, it's like 2 weeks out before closing where you start second guessing everything. Real estate investors, you know what I'm talking about? You start second guessing. It's like, oh man, like, should I close on this? Should I close on this? Like, is this a good idea? And we still close. The successful ones still close. We go through it, but every deal is different. Every single deal is going to be about your decision to close it. Sometimes the money is lined up, falls apart last minute. You got to renegotiate extension of the time, renegotiate whether you're bringing a down payment, but maybe do some seller financing in those last moments. I've had right at the final hour, I've had a week before closing, one of my partners backed out of a deal. Now I can't close, right? So I go back to the seller, I let them know the situation, and he said, well, how can we make it work? Well, the only way I can make this work is if you brought the money. Would you do financing on the deal? Right? We make deals happen. It's about negotiations, about being creative. It's about sticking to the decision to make it work. These are the 3 keystone habits. If you do this consistently, you will eventually own real estate as long as you're committed to all 3 steps. Listen to how simple this is. Evaluate deals, find opportunities, and make them happen. Consistently following that process, you will own a bunch of real estate at some point. Hence the camera, if you recognize that other things will get in the way. Other things that seem, there's louder things like, oh, my kids got to go to soccer practice. I got to go to the gym, or I've got to go and, my business is blowing up. I've got to take all this stuff in. But evaluating properties doesn't take very long, right? Who here can evaluate a property in less than 5 minutes? Where my successful, experienced investors, less than 5 minutes, evaluate a property. You know what the offer would be. Who here has taken more than an hour to evaluate a property? Taken more than an hour? Anybody? All of us? Absolutely. Who here has taken over an hour to evaluate a property and not put an offer in that day, waited for a week or 2 weeks before they finally put something in? Anybody on the call want to be honest? Who's evaluated a property and never put an offer in? Anybody? Evaluated properties, never put an offer? That should be everybody on this call. Everybody on this call has looked at a property at some point and then not put an offer in. What's the reason? It's because we didn't understand, or we didn't stick or adhere to this habit. If we've taken the time to evaluate a deal, we're going to put an offer in, regardless. They may not accept my offer. That's perfectly fine, but I will not evaluate a deal and have invested my time without submitting an offer. Every property is a good deal at the right price. True or true? We agree? Every property is a good property, an opportunity, a deal at the right price. So submit that price. Find out what that would be. Find out what it looks like. And then put that offer in. We make deals happen by creating opportunities for another person to negotiate with us or to give us their opinion of something. In success, there is no choice. You made the choice when you got on this call. You decided you're going to be a millionaire and you're going to build millionaires once you became a millionaire. Who here still agrees? You're still going to go help people once you become a millionaire, get yours. You're going to help others get theirs. Excellent. This 100 millionaires inspired to build 100 millionaires is infectious, right? The more you become successful, the more other people become successful because you're sharing, you're paying employees, you're paying partners, you're paying realtors, contractors, plumbers, staff, property managers, marketing companies. There's all sorts of different pieces, attorneys that are coming together to make sure your success happens. Your tenants are getting clean, safe housing, right? New owners are getting the opportunity to cash flow or own a place that they can live in. Real estate builds millionaires. The more you invest, the more people around you do better. Hence, care if that's okay, paying professionals and helping others do well as well. I love it. It's a cool game, and you should play the game. Even Uncle Sam, I was asked yesterday, what is the business that can make $1 trillion? Tesla valuation is $1 million, but Elon has not nailed it yet. But you're right, Mike. We'll manifest he's on his way. As long as he maintains 20% of the company and it goes to $1 trillion, he's got $1 trillion net worth. And of all the people on the planet, who's most likely to do it? It's probably Elon Musk. So the question was, why hasn't it been done before? And it was brought up that nobody's really talking about it. Let me ask you this. Do you think that the 800 billionaires in this country have not considered making $1 trillion? Does anybody think that hasn't happened? I truly believe that every single one of them has at some point flirted with the idea. They have the leverage to do it. They have the experience and skills. Why haven't they gone and built the $1 trillion? Any guesses? Drop it in the chat if you have a guess. Why the $1 trillion hasn't been attained yet? It's one of those interesting questions. It's an economic question. The government just threw $3 trillion extra into the economy. Who remembers COVID? Remember the government was like, here's $3 trillion more. Go get it. Good luck. It's because there's too much other value to be received in the marketplace. There are too many things that are creating value. This is a good thing, by the way. And there's no central person who has created all the value. There's so much money in the marketplace and there's so much value that's already being delivered that nobody has been able to monopolize the value. There's nobody who's able to monopolize $1 trillion in their own individual net worth. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't do $1 billion. It doesn't mean you certainly do $1 million, but $1 trillion has yet to be done. It's just simply a fact of economics. Nobody has been able to amass the largest amount of value ever in the country. By value, I mean exchange of goods, exchange of services, exchange of perceived value. It's $1 trillion. Compared to $1 trillion, doesn't $1 million seem a lot easier right now? I was talking about how hard $1 trillion is, and that there's only 800 billionaires, but there's 22 million millionaires in the United States. 22 million. Who here knows they could be a millionaire very quickly? The secret is adding value to a handful of people, not everybody. Right? In order to get $1 trillion, you do have to add value to absolutely everybody. But to get $1 million, it's just a handful of people. It can be done in one transaction. It can be done in a handful of transactions. It can be done through one business. We talk about it a lot. Like, how do you become a millionaire? You got to focus on one thing. Drive hard, intentionally, with all your heart, all your passion on one thing, and you do it for a series of time. Just improving your habits, putting in offers, evaluating offers, putting in offers, and making the deals happen consistently. In this market, we are pretty hot. We're pretty hot right now. Right? In the past, we used to invest a little bit for appreciation. Right now, Mike Stein was talking about before with our call with everybody who's been in the mentorship and in the mastery program. And we're talking about how right now as investors, we're super focused on cash flow. We've always respected and loved cash flow. We've always invested for cash flow. But right now, we don't touch something for appreciation. We only touch investments that provide cash flow, including businesses, including lending opportunities, and certainly cash flowing real estate. But the appreciation play is gone. We don't touch flips. We're staying away from anything that would be appreciation based. Hence, the camera should recognize there's a different change in the market. It's a time to be risk off and cash flow on, bringing in monthly, weekly, daily checks so that your opportunity to invest when the market drops increases. But taking in all these opportunities that are coming, that are on their way, that are flowing to you, is as simple as learning how to evaluate deals, finding them, seeking them out, and then negotiating in a way that's going to be beneficial for you. That final part of making the deal work, remember, it has to cash flow. If you can't sustain the property with the debt that you're taking on the property, that's not a deal. That doesn't count in this market. It must cash flow. Hence, if you commit, cash flow only. All right. I just want to be very careful as we're talking about real estate and we're sharing this knowledge, which is why you'll see a lot of us focusing on cash flowing assets, things that cash flow primarily. At this point, I like to mention there's a book of the week. And for everybody who's new, Michael is the keeper of the books. He's the holistic attorney. He's the closer. Michael Shai, what is the book of the week?
So this week's book follows nicely. The Power of Habit follows nicely after last week we did the compound effect. So specifically focusing on what Walter said, this book is the one that talks about Keystone Habits. And I did want to read a quick quote on it. Keystone habits transform us by creating cultures that make clear the values that in the heat of a difficult decision or a moment of uncertainty, we might otherwise forget. I always think of exercise as a keystone habit, because you exercise, that leads to you eating better, that leads to you sleeping better. All sorts of things come out of that one keystone. And I put in a picture, the image of the keystone, and it's just such a cool image. It's a great reminder. So that's what this book means for this week's talk with Walter. But the book itself goes way beyond that. It's really kind of interesting. It has a lot of stuff. It talks about how Target knows to send you a coupon. There's like an interesting story. Target analyzes the habits of people and sees things like if they start buying prenatal vitamins, they start sending them stuff for like baby stuff because they know they're going to have a baby. It's a cool book. It really goes into the science of this. I think of like Ron Bowling and those type of people would love the science of this. So yeah, The Power of Habit it's just a really cool book, and it has a lot of benefits for you personally, but it's also really cool. So I highly recommend it. Thank you. Peace.
The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And this book is really cool. So there is a lot of opportunity coming. Keep the faith, stay strong, improve yourself. I don't care what the market does. I do not care what people say on the news. We make our own economy. When the economy is turning in a different direction, that means we're already showing up and serving in a bigger way. There's new opportunities that are opening when old ones close. This is an energy universe. It is an economical society. So we understand that money is energy. It's just another transfer of energy. So if it's leaving one place, it's going somewhere else. Hence, if you've seen that already in society, be where people need you. Be where there's service that is to be done, and just show up and be willing to serve. Be willing to serve. Be willing to serve. And constantly level up how much you're serving. Constantly level up and leverage and create room for other people in your organization. Don't try to do it all alone. Be willing to make room for others. There's a lot of people who want to support you in your missions. A lot of people who want to support you to help others to move forward. There's people who are looking for jobs, looking for opportunities, looking for investments, looking to put their money into deals. Make room for them. The worst thing you could do if you want to be a millionaire or a multimillionaire is try to do it all alone. If it hasn't worked out, it's because that's not the secret. Making $250,000 is pretty easy to do by yourself. It's not easy. It's pretty intense, but you can get to $250,000 by yourself. To get to that $1 million, it's going to require a team. It's going to require using other people's money, other people's time, other people's skill sets, other people's knowledge. It's going to take trusting yourself to trust the right people. Hence, if you trust yourself, excellent. You are the right person. You are the one. You're the one who's changing your life. You're the one who's changing your family's trajectory. You're the one who's changing your family's life, your community. You're changing yourself so you can help change others. That's what alchemy is all about. It's about taking yourself from a state of unawareness, a state of maybe pain or ignorance or competition, and moving yourself into a state of awareness, of abundance, of bliss, of purpose, being able to serve others in that same manner. Because once you've transformed yourself, it becomes infectious. Remember that energy we feel here on these calls, that energy we felt at the summit, whenever we get together with other like-minded people, other alchemists who are serving and sharing and in that abundance mindset of like, yeah, sure, let me connect you with this person. Let me teach you this thing. Let me send you that thing. Cheers to your success. We have a choice. Always work with the best.